What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. It is time to give you my 2024 ACC football predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. I've already done the other Power 4 conferences. If you have not seen those videos, be sure to go back and check them out. I did the SEC on Monday, then the Big Ten on Tuesday, and then yesterday did the Big 12. Now we're closing things out here with the ACC. Going to show you my predictions here for this conference, and also I'm going to show you what the standings could look like based on my predictions, and then also give you a conference championship game prediction as well at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and get right into these predictions here for the ACC. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So we start here at the bottom at number 17, and I should say 13 to 17. I got Duke here at the bottom at number 17. I have this team going 3-9 and then 0-8 here in the conference. I don't think Duke's going to be the same team as they were from last year. Of course, Mike Elko is gone to Texas A&M, so that's definitely going to be really tough for this program without him. And also, like I said, this is not going to be the same Duke team as we saw for the last couple years. Again, Mike Elko was a really good coach, so you really hate to see him gone here for the Blue Devils. I don't think this team gets a conference win. I mean, there's not really a lot of winnable games on the schedule for Duke. They also have a very tough non-conference schedule. They got to play Northwestern out of the Big Ten, and Northwestern looks like they're heading in the right direction, even though that probably is a winnable game for Duke. But again, I don't think this team is going to be the same as they were from last year, so that's the reason why I got this team going just 3-9 and then going winless here in the ACC. Stanford comes in here at number 16. I have this team going 4-8 and 1-7 here in the conference. Stanford is kind of similar to Duke. This is a team that's still trying to get back in the right direction. I mean, obviously coming off a pretty rough year last year in their final year, of course, in the Pac-12. So their first year, of course, in the ACC and everything, you kind of expect them to do better and everything, but I think the Stanford team will be a little bit better this year. I think they'll be competitive in some of their games in the conference this year, but not a lot of them. And I also think this is not going to be the team that really will make a bowl game. And I don't think Stanford's going to be all that good this year. Again, Stanford and Duke are pretty much the bottom teams in the ACC in my opinion. But again, I got the Stanford team going just 4-8 and then 1-7 here in the conference. Georgia Tech comes in here at number 15. I also have this team going 4-8 but 2-6 here in the ACC. Georgia Tech has a very tough schedule this year. Now, I think the offense will be, really, they got some question marks on the offensive side of the football. Or actually, the offense I think will be really good, but the defense, they lost quite a bit of players from last year. So that's obviously a concern here for Georgia Tech, but I'm more concerned about the schedule for the Yellow Jackets. Again, Georgia Tech was a very big surprise team last year going to a bowl game and everything. But again, when you look at that schedule, a very tough non-conference schedule. They got Notre Dame at home and then also Georgia in the non-conference, and they got to go to Athens to play that game. And they play Georgia every year, of course. That's their rivalry. And they also have a very tough conference schedule, so that's the reason why you're seeing Georgia Tech here at number 15 and then also just going 4-8. And I have nothing against Georgia Tech. I think this is a team that can do better than that 4-8 record. But again, when I look at the schedule, I think it's going to be really tough for them to make it to a bowl game based on that schedule. So I got the Yellow Jackets here at number 15. Virginia comes in at number 14. I have this team going 5-7, 2-6 in the conference. I think Virginia's going to be a lot better this year. It seems like this program is now heading in the right direction. This year, they don't really have like a talented roster and everything like some of these top teams in the conference, but they also have a lot of experience coming back. A lot of experience coming back on both sides of the football. So with that being said, they might be more competitive this year in their conference games, and they definitely have a chance to probably win those, a couple or maybe like three conference games at best. And I think they also can have a really good, good shot to make it to a bowl game. So again, watch out for the Cavaliers. They're not a dark horse contender, but they are definitely a team that probably could be a surprise team this year in 2024. But again, I got this team going 5-7 and coming up just short of making it to a bowl game, and I got them number 14 here in these standings. And then California comes in here at number 13. I have this team going to a bowl game, finishing 6-6 and then 3-5 in the conference. California, I think, is going to be pretty solid on the offensive side of the football. The defense, though, is really a concern for California. They lost so many guys there from last year, so that might be the weakness of this team, but the strength will definitely be the offense for Cal. And this is also their first year in the ACC. Their schedule is not that horrible, so California might have a chance to make it to a bowl game. They don't have a talented roster, like Stanford and, Duke and also Virginia. They don't have the most talented roster in the country, but they're usually really consistent. And they also got some playmakers on their roster as well. So California here at number 13. So these are my standings here from 13 to 17. Let's now move on from 7 through 12. I got Wake Forest here at number 12. Also predicting to go to a bowl game at 6-6, and then 3-5 here in the conference. I think Wake Forest is going to turn things around this year after a pretty disappointing season last year. This is one of the more consistent teams in the ACC. I think the offense will definitely be the strength of this team. They'll be pretty explosive there on that side of the football. But the defense is obviously going to be a really big concern. Now, Wake Forest, it's going to come down to their defense in order to have a pretty good season. But their schedule is pretty tough. That's the reason why I just have them going 6-6. Their non-conference schedule is pretty tough. They got to play Ole Miss. The good news is you get that game at home. But again, that's the reason why you're seeing Wake Forest here at 6-6 instead of 7-5, somewhere in that range. Again, Wake Forest, they have a non-conference game against Ole Miss. That'll obviously be very tough. Ole Miss is going to be a really good team this year, a top 10 team, and they have a very explosive offense. So that game could be a shootout, but Ole Miss is going to have a pretty good defense as well. So again, I do expect Wake Forest, though, to turn things around. I got this team going to a bowl game, and they're sitting here at number 12 in these standings. Pittsburgh, another team here at number 11. I think this is also another team that will turn things around. Both Pittsburgh and Wake Forest are two of the more consistent teams in this conference, and I do expect both of these teams to turn things around. I know a lot of people are not really that high on Pittsburgh this year. Again, some people are even predicting them to be the worst team in the ACC. I don't really think that's going to be the case. I think the Panthers will definitely turn things around. I got this team going 7-5, so making it to a bowl game. I do expect them to be right around 6, 7, 8 wins, somewhere in that range. So I got Pittsburgh here at number 11. Boston College here at number 10. I think this team is going to be, a little bit solid. I got them going to a bowl game as well at 6-6 and then 3-5 in the conference. First-year head coach for them, and I've been saying all off-season, and everything when I did my ACC predictions for other teams, and then especially Boston College. I think this is a Boston College team that you don't want to play in the month of November. I think they're going to be really good by the time they get to the month of November. Again, first-year head coach, they won't be really good in the first half of the year, but second half they'll definitely be a lot better. Now, the reason why their record in the ACC is just 3-5, I do have them losing a couple of non-conference games, or actually I got them winning a non-conference game against Michigan State, but I got them losing a non-conference game on the road at Missouri, so that's the reason why you're seeing them also at 6-6. And Wake Forest and Boston College are pretty similar teams. They have to play, two SEC teams in the non-conference, or I should say one of those teams and everything. They're both, really good teams from last year, so Boston College and Wake Forest are pretty similar. But again, Boston College, I think this team makes it to a bowl game. I got them here at number 10 and going 6-6. NC State comes in at number 9, just like Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. NC State's one of the more consistent teams in the ACC as well. I do expect this team to be right around 6, 7, 8 wins, and I also think this is a top 25 team as well. I got them losing a non-conference game to Tennessee. That's the reason why the 5th loss is there for them instead of, being like 8-4. They got that game in Charlotte and everything. So again, NC State, Boston College, and Wake Forest are all pretty similar teams, having to play an SEC opponent in the non-conference. So that'll be very tough for the 3 teams here that you're seeing on these standings. But again, NC State here at number 9. Again, I think this team makes it to a bowl game, and I also got them winning 4 games in the ACC. And then Syracuse comes in here at number 8. I got this team going 8-4 and 4-4 in the conference. I think Syracuse is a little bit underrated heading into this year, and I think they're also going to, really surprise a lot of people. This team has a good amount of production coming back and everything. Yes, they have a first-year head coach, but Syracuse has a schedule that really sets up nicely for them. That's the reason why you're seeing their record at 8-4. Again, it's not really about the roster. It's more about the schedule here for this Syracuse team. And again, with that schedule, I think Syracuse might have a chance to be a dark horse contender. So watch out here for the Orange. They're here at number 8, though, on these standings. And then SMU comes in here at number 7, another newcomer coming up here in this conference. I got them going 9-3 and 5-3 in their first year in the ACC. I don't think this team is that far behind for being like a top contender in the ACC, really in the future, and also definitely like for this year as well. well. They have a lot of talent on this roster, and also they got plenty of playmakers that are ready to play in this conference, and also at the Power 4 level. Again, watch out for the Mustangs. They are definitely a big, dark horse, maybe even a top contender here for 2024. Again, I got this team going 9-3 in their first year in this conference. So those are my standings here from 7 through 12. Let's now go to the top 6 here. I got North Carolina here at number 6. I got this team going 9-3 and 6-2 in the conference. I think North Carolina will be pretty solid. They'll definitely, have a chance to probably make the ACC championship. Their schedule, pretty much sets up in a way they can probably make the conference championship. North Carolina, though, I got them losing a non-conference game to Minnesota, so that's where, one of the 3 losses comes from. I had them also losing a couple of, ACC games, so that's where the 3rd loss again comes from, to Minnesota in the non-conference. But again, I got this North Carolina team. I think they'll definitely be right there as a dark horse team in the ACC for 2024. Virginia Tech comes in at number 5. I think this is definitely the most underrated team heading into 2024 in all of college football. I have this team going 10-2 and then 6-2 here in the conference. Their schedule is not that horrible either, even though they got a tough non-conference schedule with Vanderbilt and Rutgers. But Rutgers, seems like a program that's heading in the right direction. I think that'll be a little bit tough, but Vanderbilt's at the bottom of the SEC. So I think the non-conference schedule is not really all that bad. It's a little bit tough when you have to play like a couple of Power 4 teams and everything, but I got them winning both of those non-conference games. And again, I have them, getting 2 losses here in the ACC, and both of those teams are just ahead of them. It's Miami and Clemson and everything. I had those, I had Virginia Tech losing both of those teams and everything. So that's the reason why you're seeing Virginia Tech behind Miami and Clemson. But again, back to Virginia Tech here. A lot of experience coming back. I think that's the reason why this team is very underrated. And I think they are definitely that big dark horse team in the ACC this year as well. So again, watch out here for Virginia Tech. They're definitely probably a top 25 team in my opinion as well. They might be not in the preseason, but again, this is a really a big dark horse contender in the ACC as well. So I got Virginia Tech here at number 5. And then Miami and Clemson both come in here at 9-3. Miami, of course, going to be a very talented team. Can Mario Cristobal really turn things around here at Miami? It was a very disappointing year last year. Can they finally be consistent as a team? They got a lot of transfers coming in. They got Cam Ward, the transfer, coming over from Washington State. I think he's going to be really doing good at that quarterback position. And again, Miami's been very inconsistent on the offensive side of the football for the last 2 years. Again, could this finally be their year that they can finally have a chance to, go to the conference championship? And then also try to make the college football playoff. We'll see, but I got this team, at 9-3 and then 6-2 here in the conference. And I got this team finishing at number 4 in the standings. And then Clemson comes in here at number 3. I got them also go 9-3 and 6-2 here in the conference. And Clemson and Miami are both pretty similar teams. Clemson and Miami both have non-conference games in their opener of the season against 2 SEC teams in Georgia. And also, like I said, Florida and everything. Clemson, and Miami both have, to play SEC teams in their non-conference games. Again, Clemson, I think, has a little bit of a tougher non-conference game than Miami does, because Clemson is taking on like one of the top teams maybe coming up this year in the country in Georgia, and then you got Miami taking on Florida, which hasn't really been good in the last couple of years, but I think that will still be a very tough game. And they got to play both of those games on different locations. Miami has to go on the road to play Florida, and then for Clemson, they have to go, in Atlanta, or actually, in Atlanta, I think, in Atlanta or something like that, to go to, play Georgia and everything. So both of Clemson and Miami are pretty similar teams. Again, both of these teams have to play SEC opponents, but looking at Clemson, I think it's really going to come down to their offense this year. Again, Clemson has to really, rely on Cade Klubnik to make the right plays down the field. We'll see how much Cade Klubnik does, improve in his junior year. But Clemson, they're still going to be a top 15 top 15 type team every year, and then also a playoff contender as well. I'm not really counting out Clemson in the college football playoff and also in the ACC championship race, but I think Clemson definitely doesn't make it to the ACC championship. I do have them getting a couple losses in the conference anyway, and then just ahead of them is Louisville here at number 2. So you're probably wondering, why is Louisville ahead of Clemson here? Well, Louisville has more conference wins wins than Clemson does. I know I got Clemson beating Louisville in the regular season game. Head-to-head does matter, but it really comes down to conference wins and also has the better conference record. And Louisville does have that. So Louisville, I got them ahead of Clemson. Louisville is absolutely loaded in the transfer portal. They got Tyler Shuck coming over from quarterback from the Big 12. We'll see how good he's going to be. The passing game definitely was a big struggle last year for the Cardinals, so we'll see how much they can improve on that side of the football and also in the passing game. And Louisville's, 3 losses. 2 of those losses come in the non-conference. They got Notre Dame and also Kentucky. They played both of those games on the road, and that's where their other losses come from. Their one loss just comes to Clemson in the ACC, so that's why you're seeing Louisville here at number 2. And then Florida State here at the top at number 1. This has been my preseason pick ever since to win the ACC and everything. I got this team going 10-2 and then 7-1 in the conference. I do have Florida State, losing, I think, to Miami in the regular season and everything. And I also have them losing another game somewhere in the in the non-conference, I believe. So yeah, Florida State comes in here at number 1. I think this team will be very good this year. DJ Uiagalelei steps in at quarterback. We'll see how good he's going to fit the passing game here for Florida State. Florida State and Louisville are also pretty similar teams. They really struggled in the passing game last year, so that's definitely going to be the key there for both of these teams as they head into 2024. But let's now get to the ACC championship game. Now we got a rematch from last year potentially between Louisville and Florida State. Both of these teams absolutely love to recruit in the transfer portal. I think both of these teams are pretty similar, but talent-wise, Florida State, I have to give them the advantage there. DJ Uiagalelei has more experience than Tyler Shuck as well. I think Florida State's going to be a pretty good, running, team, and I also think they're going to be really good on the defense. The passing game obviously is what concerns me the most about both of these teams. But again, I think it's a pretty even matchup. Again, talent-wise, Florida State definitely has the advantage, and I think it will be a close game. Louisville will definitely be out for revenge in this one, but I think, like I said, I've been saying all offseason, Florida State's been my pick ever since, the beginning of the year to probably win the ACC championship. I haven't really changed my pick ever since that time. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Florida State here to win the conference championship. So again, it could be 2 years in a row that Florida State makes it to the ACC title and also wins it. So I got Florida State winning it all in the ACC, and so with that win, they probably make it to the college football playoff, maybe as a number 3 or number 4 seed. Either way, how the Big 12 and ACC works, maybe whoever has the better resume as well. But again, Florida State is my ACC champion for 2024. And those are my predictions here for the ACC conference for the upcoming 2024 college football season. Let me guys know what you think about these ACC standings down in the comments below. And also give me your ACC champion prediction down in the comments below as well. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports Channel.